Ooh. Okay, here we go. All right.
It says live. It says you're looking live.
Hey again, everybody, and welcome into Talking Tuscaloosa. Luke Robinson along with Jimmy Stein. As always, Jimmy, how are you today?
Tired. The responsibilities of running this law practice can wear a man down. Pooped.
I have a new tagline for us if I want to try on you. Maybe we should do a new tagline every time we do this podcast. You ready?
Shoot. Mm-hmm.
Talking Tuscaloosa, the podcast even an Alabama kicker wouldn't miss. How's that work?
That is fantastic.
Okay, so a lot of places to go here.
How about this? Talking Tuscaloosa, we just committed to Alabama too.
We're our own bagmen.
Shit, I wish.
I have plenty of bags. I have plenty of bags, but that's just so my wife can wear them over her head when she goes out in public with me. So there are a lot of places to go here.
One second on the bag. Oh, here's another soapbox thing. And I was in such a good mood, and now this space. I was just reading. I guess it was yesterday on a message board, and it's one of. You know what the worst kind of fan is? There's a lot of bad types of fans, but here's the one that drives me about crazy the most. Our rival pays all of these kids to go to their school, but my school does not and would never. Yeah. Like every single kid Auburn or Georgia or LSU or Tennessee signs is paid, and kids at Alabama are not. Don't be that kind of fan. And I'm not saying that there aren't some nefarious things that go on, and I'm not saying that Alabama is any worse than anybody else. Or not. I'm just don't. Oh, well, of course he's going there. He's getting paid. I mean,
the most tired cliche joke of all time is when somebody doesn't go pro and somebody says, "Well, they can't afford the pay cut." It's the stupidest, laziest joke there is,
and it's so absurd. Like even at the height of the SMU death penalty case, they were paying guys $500,000 a year, like the NFL minimum is. That just drives me crazy that people actually would believe that. Oh my God, like playing football at Auburn. And let's say Alabama offers out, by the way, the 5-star that committed to Auburn yesterday, he couldn't have committed to Alabama. He has no committable Alabama offer. So he didn't commit to Auburn over Alabama. Alabama wasn't an option for him yesterday. But nevertheless, we decided, well, surely, playing at Auburn is so awful. They have to pay those kids to go through the hell of attending college with thousands of hot chicks while you're going to school for free and playing in the SEC. That sounds awful. Hellish.
It is. It's a shame what these kids have to go through. We should pay them more.
It is. One of our good buddy, one of a good mutual friend one time said, I'm not, the idea that these college kids are victims of an evil system, I'm just not ready to die on that hill. And while I agree there needs to be reforms to the system as a whole, these kids are treated like rock stars and go to an expensive ass college for free and are famous and are trained to play in the National Football League by professional coaches. I just refuse to believe that they're victims of anything. They just belong to a system that needs some level of reform. That's all. Anyway, what are we talking about?
Jesus,
man,
you really took a hard left there, man.
Let me tell you what I think about Kanye West.
There are a lot of Wests in the Kanye West. That Michelle West.
Who's Michelle? That's Michelle Wolf.
Oh, Wolf. Yeah. Well, I think I know a Michelle West. Well, that's why I said that.
And Kanye's kid with Kardashian. The kid's name is North. So his name is
that's
North.
True. I'm getting all my directions missing. But that Michelle Wolf, man, she started a firestorm. And I'll tell you, that'd be my rant for the day. If you're going to go off on a rant before we start all this shit, I'm going to go off on a rant. Hey, look, I get it. And I get people who just loathe Donald Trump. I understand that. I mean, I can understand it. I'm not his biggest fan in the world either. but I don't hate the guy. I just don't. But somebody on one side of the fence is gonna have to start by being nicer. Somebody's got to start it. So maybe we'll get some momentum of decency, because the shit that woman was spewing at that White House Correspondents' Dinner was over the top. And if you're defending it, you're only defending it because you hate the other side that much. You're throwing out morality. And okay, if she's not going to be obviously she's not going to be the one to do it. And it's not about freedom of speech or any of that crap. I hope somebody on the right comes back and says, look, I don't like Hillary Clinton, but she's a human being, so I'm not going to call her a half alien hose beast anymore. I'm just not going to do it. I'm fine with that. If people would just quit calling one another names, especially in politics, but really throughout all of it, throughout society, I would be a lot happier. Now, that being said, I've made fun of a lot of people. Sorry, Chris Caps, over the years. And so I'm gonna start being more decent. That's my goal. Be less offensive.
Well, that's not a high bar for you. But
no, it's a terrible bar.
I appreciate the sentiment, and of course I couldn't.
Who's an alcoholic like you to talk about the bar to me?
Well, I don't know. I'm drunk. It is after 11:30. As I say all the time, it's 11:30 a.m. somewhere.
But am I wrong? I mean, is this Michelle?
No.
Was she over the top?
Yeah, like everyone in politics is, and I hate I think what you're saying is the worst thing about it is but what about itis? Yeah, Michelle Wolf was over the top and mean spirited and a total crazy loon bitch for insulting people their face. Yeah, that was over the top. And the people that respond to it is, but look what this guy said about Obama, or look what this guy said about Hillary. Yeah, they shouldn't have said that either. And like you said, at some point we have to stop doing but what about them? Because it's not them, it's all us, and that's what we've lost sight of. I mean, what I don't like about it is that we lump everybody to one category. Like there's extremists everywhere. There's extreme conservatives. There's extreme liberals, and we're going to paint the entire group with that brush. The entire group. They're all the Republicans are this, or all the Democrats are this. That's not only unfair. It's stupid. It's stupid. It really is stupid.
How do you feel about it?
It's stupid. I mean, that's why I hate even getting excited or getting upset about it, because it's all stupid. And one side in the morality high road over the other side is also stupid.
And I know you can't see me because we haven't figured out why I can see you and you can only see the Talking Tuscaloosa logo. You're having a great hair day.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you. My stylist.
See, I'm starting right now.
That was a very kind of you to say, since we've brushed right over the alcohol thing. Although I'm not even gonna defend myself on that. On that.
It's amazing in your drunken stupor that you're able to fix your hair.
Wasn't I drinking the last? Which didn't we do one of these about 2 or 3 podcasts ago? I was literally sipping from a Fireball bottle.
That's true.
So
have you ever watched Drunk History?
I don't know. I'm drunk
Comedy
all the time.
Central.
There's no telling what I've watched. I'm drunk all the time.
On Comedy Central, there's a good show called Drunk History, and it's like the host gets drunk with somebody else who tells you about some kind of historical event while it's being reenacted by some famous comedians and whatever. And it's pretty damn funny. It's right up your alley. I can't believe you haven't heard it.
Yeah,
all right, we got to talk about some football and shit.
Oh yeah, let's do that. That's why people want to talk Tuscaloosa.
We could go all the way back to 8A because we hadn't talked since then. I think that's been talked about enough. Sufficient to say.
Let's move on from there.
Yeah, sufficient to say Jalen Hurts did himself no favors. I think it actually, the way 8A ended up was the best possible outcome for Alabama fans, because if Jalen Hurts had been slinging darts all afternoon, everybody would been like, oh, shit, what are we going to do when Tua comes back now? Instead, it is essentially – and if Mac Jones had looked like ass, everybody would be like, oh, my God, we got to pray Jalen stays even though he's going to be the backup. Now I think people feel better about Mac Jones. They feel better about their position on Jalen Hurts. And hey man, if you're an Alabama fan, you're worried about Jalen Hurts leaving, you feel better about his potential absence than you did before A-Day.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, I agree with all that. As a matter of fact, I go a little further. I would say my A-Day, not A-Day itself, but the events of A-Day week have changed my projection or prediction about what's going to happen. And by that, I would say, and before spring practice started, I think my feeling or my prediction, and it's not what Jimmy wants, a prediction of what was going to happen, is that we were going to have a 2-quarterback system and both guys were going to play significant numbers of snaps. That's what I thought the fall would look like prior to spring practice starting. But the events of A-Day week and A-Day itself has changed my mind in terms of what I think is going to happen. And that is a number of things. Number one, I find it, I don't want to use the word coincidental. I would rather use the word trending. And tell me where this is trending. In the same week, Team Hurts is quoted in the media as saying, if we're not the starter, we're leaving. The same week, Team Tagovailoa has a younger brother that commits to Alabama.
Yeah.
In the same week, Jalen Hurts does not play well, despite having a tremendous opportunity to catch up to Tua mania. Jalen could have created an own mania of his own and did not. And then Mac Jones sort of steals the headlines that day.
Hell, he's MVP.
I think you add up where it's trending, and that's that Jalen may leave the program this summer. And I wouldn't have believed that back in March, but I believe it now, not on Inside Scoop, not on, hey, this guy told me this. It's more on where this is trending. And in terms of who's going to be the primary quarterback at Alabama this fall, I think in retrospect, that's been fairly obvious since the morning of January 9th as to who's going to be the primary quarterback. But in terms of Jalen leaving, hey, look, and if he does leave, I know he graduates in December, but I think what people are overlooking here is the redshirt year. And let's just be logical about this, Luke. If he comes to Alabama this fall, true, he graduates in December and then can leave without sitting out. But he also has a redshirt year. So if he left right now, yes, he has to sit out. But he also has 2 years to play and not just one. That's if right. He transfers out. So I think there's a lot of logic in terms of what the Hurts family has in mind, that him leaving now makes some level of sense, because yeah, he would have to sit out, but he has 2 years. So does he want to sit out and start for 2 years, or does he want to be the backup and start for 1 year at the new place? And I know if I was him what I would pick. And plus you can be smarter about it this time around in terms of picking the right spot, which is picking a place where you're almost clearly going to be the starter and picking an offense that fits your skill set. And to me, that offense for Jalen would be up-tempo, sort of a spread situation that takes advantage of the fact that he makes plays with his legs more so than his arm. And I would go to a dual threat place. I would also pick a place that, even though that's the system they run, they have a history of preparing quarterbacks for the NFL, because it's 100% clear from Jalen's father's remarks that he wants to stick a quarterback and he wants a shot at playing pro football. So not only do you need to pick the spread place that allows him to run the ball, but also needs to be a place that prepares him for the NFL. So, as to what that is, I don't know, but they need to be smart about it if that's what they're going to do. But obviously, my feelings on it have changed a lot. If you'd asked me in March, what are the chances both kids would still be on the team this fall, I would say near 100%. Now I don't feel that way at all. It's clear the Tagovailoas are sticking around. Heck, we got Little Tag showing up in 2019 now. So they're sticking around. Is Jalen sticking around? I think we see where this is trending anyway.
No, I agree. And it's a scary proposition to go into next season with nothing but Tua Tagovailoa and Mac Jones as your QB.
It really is.
That may be really what we do.
Hey, if you lose 2 and you have to play your third guy, if there's some Alabama fans out there that talks himself into, we can win the national title with Braxton Barker quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, what what reality is that? It's not Ohio State situation where their third team quarterback was a guy that ended up being a second round pick in the NFL draft.
Yeah.
You know, people talk about that. Ohio State. Look at their three quarterbacks were two different Big Ten players of the year and a second round pick in the NFL draft.
Pretty strong.
Yeah. I mean, not everybody's got that situation. So anyway.
So speaking of the NFL draft, who do you think landed in the best spot for their talents? Like, give me 2 or 3 guys. I know 12 went, but I'm saying who landed. Yeah. What 2 or 3 guys landed in the best spots for them?
I tell you, I like Deshaun Hand's situation in Detroit for a couple of reasons. And mostly it's just Deshaun that I think one of the reasons he was underrated, probably went around later than he should have, is at the NFL level. I think Deshaun can play inside at tack. Detroit lines were in a 4-3. We were in a 3-4 at Alabama. And Deshaun didn't make a lot of play. One thing about at Alabama that we said is Deshaun Hand wasn't a playmaker. Well, when you play a 2-gap front like Alabama does, Deshaun is responsible for 2 gaps. And normally his responsibility is to control those 2 gaps, not letting a lineman get to the second level and block a linebacker. In other words, in our system, Deshaun Hand's not really asked to make a lot of plays anyway. Detroit plays a 4-3. It's a 1-gap system. He's only responsible for 1 gap. Those guys are freed up to make more plays. The fact that Deshaun Hand is big enough to slide inside and play tackle, but also quick enough to line up outside and play end, I think that tremendous versatility and go into a 4-3 team. I think Deshaun Hand's going to surprise people with how good he is up at Detroit. So that's one thing. I like that Deshaun's going to a 1-gap team because I think that just better suits his talents than even Alabama did. Now, also Minkah, and of course that's the easiest answer because he was the best Alabama player in this draft. I think all Alabama fans realize that and know that. I think Minkah going to a team that's pretty good. The Dolphins, they picked 11th or 12th, and that was without their starting quarterback last year who was out all of last season. The Dolphins to me are a borderline playoff team. Minkah will be a starter right away, especially in nickel. And I suspect that Minkah is going to be a significant player for the Dolphins, which is a borderline playoff team right away. In terms of a guy that went late in the draft, I sort of like Bo Scarborough's spot, just simply because in the NFL is sort of very much a college system now in terms of running back. It's sort of a get it done by committee. And I know that Ezekiel Elliott is probably the best running back in the NFL, but if Bo Scarborough can win the job as the 3rd back on that team and sort of start out with the idea of, hey, I can be your short yardage guy and we can save some wear and tear on Zeke on 3rd and 1. So he's not the guy that's launching himself into the teeth of the defense on 3rd and 1. I'll do that. I can see how Bo could carve out a niche for himself, in Dallas. Whereas if he went to a team, if he was drafted higher and went to a team that said, hey, Bo, we need 10 or 15 carries this week, I don't know that he would impress on that role, but I think with his size, he would do really well. We got to keep in mind that's sort of the role Bo played for Alabama last year. He really was kind of our short yardage guy last year, did pretty well in that role. So I sort of like, in terms of we're looking for a guy who went late that could make a team, to me, it's Bo.
No, I agree. And you stole my thunder because Bo is really the one who I think, besides Minkah is so obvious because not only does he go to the Dolphins in desperate need of some leadership, but they are also in a division that you got to assume Tom Brady's got 1, maybe 2 years left. Somebody's going to have to take over. And you're dealing with a Buffalo team that is now their quarterbacks are Josh Allen, a rookie, and A.J. McCarron, and a Jets team that is putting all their chips on the Sam Darnold roulette spot. So I think Minkah and the Dolphins have a golden opportunity here if they can get through this season and maybe the following season just because of Brady playing 2 more years potentially. But the Dolphins would be set, I think, with a guy like him who is probably the most professional of all the guys coming into the league this year. I think that would be great. And then Bo Scarborough, like you said, look, he's not going to take over Ezekiel Elliott. That's not what I'm saying. I'm thinking he's going to be in a perfect role because just you think, okay, Ezekiel Elliott's out. Whew, we get a few minutes off. And then this monster comes in. And I also had the thought when I was watching the draft and Bo was just hanging around, it seems to me like Jerry Jones is in the war room and he's flipping through pictures, shirtless pictures of guys left in the draft. And he goes, hey, wait a minute. Who the hell is this guy? And they're like, that's Bo Scarborough. He's like, is he what is he, a Greek god? What the heck is this? I guess Tony Brown is just unfortunate for him. They didn't flip to the Tony Brown page because he would have drafted him too. But also, really quickly, one other thought on the draft. I also had the feeling that Cleveland had the number 1 pick. They take Baker Mayfield, which I think was really a bad idea. Not necessarily because I dislike Baker, but because I think they could have had him with the 4th pick. But I believe Cleveland forgot they had the 4th pick too. I had a feeling like the commissioner says, okay, you take Baker Mayfield, and then Saquon Barkley goes, then Sam Darnold goes, and the commissioner looks at Cleveland and goes, okay, y'all are on the clock. And they're like, dude, we just picked. Didn't you hear us? We took Baker Mayfield. He's like, no, you have another pick. And they were like, oh, shit, we take Sam Darnold? No, he's gone. What about Saquon Barkley? He's gone. How about Baker Mayfield? You've already taken him. And then, okay, we'll take some defensive back from Ohio State that should go number 15.
It is true. They took 2 guys. They took a guy at 1 that was going to be there at 4, and then they took a guy at 4. They probably could have got at 8 or 9 if they traded back.
Later, I didn't see Ward in a top 10 in a mock draft. Now, I didn't see every mock draft, but I think they could have had him in Minka's spot.
Is Ward scoring extra points because the NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year was an Ohio State defensive back from the year before, and Lattimore? I mean, maybe. I mean, that's a stupid reason, but it was a reach, and even Mayfield was a reach at 1. And I agree with you that they screwed it up. Now, if Baker Mayfield proves to be an all-pro fantastic quarterback, no one will ever think that they messed this up. And I get that. If Mayfield pans out and is great, then no one will remember that they screwed this up. But if Mayfield's not great, I mean, the first thing I would tell them is, look, the best player in this draft, in my opinion, just my opinion, and I'm not alone on this, by the way, but the best player in this draft to me is Saquon Barkley. He is the best bet of who's going to be an all-pro player. Barkley, assuming good health. So they could have drafted Baker Mayfield. It's fine to me if they looked at all 4 quarterbacks and came out with the opinion that, look, in our opinion as an organization, we think Baker Mayfield's the guy. Then they need to have the awareness that that's not the majority opinion and that Mayfield would be there at 4. It seems to me the smarter thing to do is, you could have taken the best player in the draft at 1 and still got who you wanted at 4.
Yeah.
You could have felt like, we just took the 2 number 1 picks on this draft.
True.
The guy that should have been number 1, Mayfield, with the guy that actually is number 1, Barkley. True, they would have missed out on Ward, but they also had the first pick in the second round, an early pick, in the second round, and they could have gotten the best DB, available at that point. So I value. They took a guy at 1 that could have been at 4, and they took a guy at 4 they could have traded down and gotten later. And it's fine with me that they like those guys. I'm not substituting look, they're wrong to like Baker Mayfield over Rosen. I'm not saying that. I'm not even saying they're wrong to like Denzel Ward over Minka. I get it. I mean, I understand it's subjective, but value. You didn't have to take Mayfield at 1. You didn't have to take Ward at 4.
No,
I think that's Chris Capps. You think that's Chris Capps?
He's saying, you son of a bitch. Okay, so I'm going to have to cut this short, but I want to talk real quickly about some other things. We get Amari Kite on Sunday, and we get Kevin Harris yesterday in recruiting. Pretty badass. Couple of big-time commits.
Very excited about both. Amari Kite has both these kids, even though they play different positions, what stands out most about them is the same thing, and that is frame and feet. Frame and feet. Amari Kite has an NFL frame and has NFL feet for the tackle position. He should be a premier pass blocker at the next level. He has the tools, the long arms, the great frame, the great feet. Amari Kite's tools, I compare him to Chris Samuels, who ended up being the number 2 pick in the draft or something. And I'm not saying he is going to be as good as Chris Samuels. And Chris Samuels, by the way, was not a highly recruited kid at all. Amari Kite is much more highly recruited than Chris Samuels. I'm just saying tools, frame, feet, length, athleticism, very similar to Chris Samuels. Kevin Harris, very similar in sense. What stands out to him about it is a pass rusher, frame and feet. He's long. He is very quick. His get off, his burst is fantastic. He has got an NFL pass rusher ability in terms of his length and in terms of his burst and how quick his feet are. And I think these are two great pickups for Alabama. I think they're both legitimate national top 100 players. Whenever you sign or land a guy that is totally legitimate national top 100, that is a great pickup. I know fans get obsessed with that 5th star and what the 5-star means. And hey, me too. But there's only 30 of those guys, and they got to be split up between 130 programs. I'm just saying that if you get a national top 100 guy, you should be excited. And to me, Kevin Harris and Amari Kite, both totally legitimate top 100 guys.
Yeah, and a couple other bit of news. First of all, it's kind of interesting. We got 2 QB commits, and both those QB commits have offensive linemen that are also committed to us on their teams. Also, I can't wait till next year with Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game when we choose which quarterbacks are going to represent Alabama. Talia Tungavailoa, Paul Tyson, Bo Nix, the kid at Central Phoenix City, the kid at Hoover. Is he a senior next year? Or is he
He's a junior. He's a junior. Okay. That kid at Hoover is fantastic. Robbie Ashford. He's a junior. He's a 2020 guy. He is fantastic. This is the best group of quarterbacks I can ever remember in Alabama. In terms of having 3 guys as good as Nix, Tyson, and Tungavailoa, I don't think we've ever had 3 that good, but Robbie Ashford's better than all those guys. Robbie Ashford's a better prospect than any of those 3. And by the way, even as an Alabama guy, I'm first to admit I would rank Bo Nix ahead of Tyson and Tungavailoa. I would today. I would too. Today I would. And but Robbie Ashford's better than him. And I think Ashford is a 5-star potential 5-star type kid. That's how I feel about him. And I don't know what they would do in the All-Star game, Luke. I'd tell you the first thing I do is play the Central Phoenix City guy at another position. He might be a quarterback in Division I. But I would play him at DB or wide receiver. In terms of the other 3 guys, you can't leave one out. You can't leave one out. So I would just take all 3 of them. I know that's going to leave you short somewhere, but you have to put the best players on the team. Why have your backup DB?
Why limit yourself?
Yeah. Why have to back up DB, a kid that's going to play at West Alabama, when you can have 3 quarterbacks on your roster that are all going to Alabama and Auburn? And that's who the fans want to see. And I know the game is for the kids. The game is for the kids, and we should get. But hey, this is who the fans want to see. They want to see those quarterbacks. I'd put them all 3 on the team. That's what I'd do. And play Parrish somewhere else.
And we just got word via the tweeters that Alabama and Utah State are going to play in 2022. Bitches.
Utah State.
Yeah, I mean, it's just news. And Raleigh North is coming back. Raleigh North is coming back for next year.
That's good news. Very good news. Senior leadership, above all else, senior leadership counts. I would say we made it in the tournament comfortably. I think if Raleigh North was on the team this past year, I think we win 2 more games.
I agree.
2 more, maybe 3, solely on senior leadership. Or of course, he would have been a junior this past year, or a redshirt junior. But senior leadership.
No, he would have been a senior.
Yeah, you're right. He would have been a senior. It was a senior year.
Now he's just super senior leadership.
That's right. His senior leadership is now exponentially better.
Out the freaking wazoo.
Yeah, but the senior leadership, it cost us 2 or 3 games. We did not have a leader on the floor, with apologies, Colin Sexton, who was an 18-year-old. I'm not taking a shot at Colin. He was 18. And we didn't have a senior leader on the floor that could have held our shit together better down the stretch in a couple games.
All right. Well, I got to run, man. Hey, listen, I'm going out of the country for a couple of weeks.
You're going to be nice to people.
I'm going to be very nice to people. You know where I'm going? You know where I'm going?
Where you go? I hope you're going with Michelle Wolf wherever you're going. Y'all 2 would be hilarious together.
I'm going to India. No shit.
No way.
Yeah.
The Hoosiers?
Yeah. Just funny. Real quick, a story. I had some people from South Bend. We're redoing a fountain in South Bend, and some people were down here and meeting with us, and we had a great meeting, couple hours, whatever. And at the end of it, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to let you guys know I'm going to be gone a couple of weeks. I'm going to India, and I'm going to feel like a giant. I'm just going to be, I think I'm just going to be a giant over there, and it's going to be weird. People are going to be pointing at me. And they said, well, I don't know. A lot of basketball players. And I thought, I've never seen one Indian basketball player. And then it dawned on me. I said, "You thought I said Indiana, didn't you?" She goes, "Well, you did, didn't you?" And I said, "No, I said India, like India, the country, India." She goes, "Oh yeah, you'll be pretty big over
there." It would have been funnier if she said, "Put another shrimp on the Barbie."
Shine your shoes, governor.
Well, have a good time. Have a good time over there in India. And you going to Bollywood? Is that a real place?
I'm gonna probably do some Bollywood, and I think they have Kanye Far East. I don't know. Is that right?
I don't know. Do they?
Is that a good joke? I thought it would be.
I didn't get it. I didn't get. Oh, Kanye West.
Yes, now, thank you.
The jokes are great when they need 4 minutes of explanation. Although, actually, I think that makes a joke funnier if you have to explain it for like 4 minutes.
Well, it is funny once you get it.
Though that might be next week sometime. All right. Well, call in, and we'll do a talk in New Delhi.
We will. All right, man. Y'all have a good one. And hey, get a Kyle or somebody to do it next week.
Hey, that's not a bad idea. Hey, I might. Oh, Suttles is getting married. Yeah, that'd be a great time to call and ask. Hey, Aaron. Hey, ditch this wedding thing and let's do a talk Tuscaloosa. But yeah, I might.
I know you're already tired of getting nagged at, so why not do this?
It's a good thing he doesn't listen to the show. It's a good thing only 3 people listen to the show.
All
right.
See you, man.
Talk to you next week. Have a safe trip. Roll Tide. See you.
All right, you got it?